when you have a security blanket like that, it is so important to have people like that behind them. And that's been a really big conversation when it comes to Philadelphia. And my guy, Philly Godfather, who joins us each and every single Friday at 5:30, steps in with us now. How you doing, brother?
Living it up out here in Las Vegas at the Encore, having a blast, man.
What would you do if you're the Eagles at your backup position?
You talking about the quarterback?
Yeah.
I mean, Mariota's bad. I mean, I think he's shot. They got to go find someone real quick because, Jalen Hurts missed a couple games last season, and if that happens again this year, especially with the Cowboys being as good as they are, and if it's a tight race, you got to go find someone very, very quickly.
I would say this to you too. If you don't have, hey, how about this one here? We've been talking. Would you ever consider bringing Wentz in? I mean, but wait a minute. What are the options? Here, Nick Foles. Here, I'll ask you this question. I asked D. Gunn and Derek and Barrett Brooks yesterday this question. Who would you rather have as an option? Marcus Mariota, Matt Ryan, Carson Wentz, or Nick Foles as your backup quarterback?
I still think Wentz can play. It's just all that baggage, all that luggage you're bringing with them. That's going to cause a lot of problems. And if Jalen Hurts starts out slow or something, you never know what happens. It's the NFL. If he tweaks an ankle and he can't play at an optimum level, and then the fans start screaming for Wentz because there's still a lot of Wentz fans out there, it could be a major distraction for this team.
You're out in Vegas now. What are the sports books thinking on the teams? This is what Jim Nantz, and he's picking the Buffalo Bills versus the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. That's his prediction. I don't know. You got the Cowboys as your team coming out of the NFC. Why this year for the Cowboys do you believe that this is the year that they get this thing right?
Well, it was a magical year for the Eagles last year, as we've talked about in the past. And they had to be the best at almost everything to get to the Super Bowl, not even win it, to get there and lose. And as we mentioned in the past, they're missing so many guys on the defensive side of the ball that are hard to replace. It's hard to come back and match those stats they had from last year. And they were the third healthiest team in the league last year. And that's hard to stay healthy. It's a league where it's very difficult to stay healthy. On the Cowboys side, they added Gilmore, shutdown corner, Brandon Cooks. I think Dak's going to be a lot better this year. Their offensive line was a little banged up last year, and they only let up 27 sacks on the season, which was 17 less than the Eagles' offensive line last year. So think about how good that offensive line is. Their defensive line, I think they had the fourth most amount of sacks in the league last year, and they were banged up. They bring in the kid from Michigan, who's a great run stopper. He's a big kid. So their defensive line got better. I don't think the Eagles got better. I think they got a little worse. And I think the Cowboys got a lot better. And that's why I think the Cowboys are the team to beat in the NFC East.
All right. That'll play well. Who do you believe has better season this year, Lamar Jackson or Jalen Hurts?
I think Lamar Jackson.
Why?
They brought in that offensive coordinator.
I'm looking.
Yeah, he's he was banged up. Lamar was banged up last year, missed a bunch of games. And this Ravens team is going to surprise a lot of people. They're at 18-1 to win the Super Bowl. They're playing in a real tough division, but I think Lamar bounces back. I think Harbaugh has his team back on track. And I think Lamar Jackson, his over and under in touchdown passes are right at 25. I think he goes over. I think he throws about 30 touchdown passes.
30 TD. He threw 36 one year and led the NFL. Let me ask you about that too, because you put all these numbers together and you put point spreads together, prop bets. How much due diligence and how much studying and research go into putting up all these prop bets before you put these lines out? I can't think you just do this, right? You're just not going to go out there and go, well, I'm going to put 2.5 on this game here. Just because for shits and giggles, you're putting 2.5. Between you and the sports books, I know I used to work with the MGM Grand a lot. I worked with the Rio a lot and all them guys out in Vegas, and it was always great working with their sports books. And their sports book director, he had a bunch of statisticians that did all that. How much goes actually into putting these lines out?
I mean, we football season, we're studying 16-hour days. We're having 16-hour days just reading every metric, every analytic. We're looking at what happened last year. Was that offensive line banged up? Is that why maybe the quarterback underperformed? We look at everything you can look at, from the offensive production numbers to the offensive drive pace numbers. I mean, you name it. And we look at the injuries, who was banged up, who wasn't banged up. And we come out with an educated guess, and we think our numbers and our prices are better than the bookmakers, and we fire into the market.
Do you talk to other sports book directors, like say in Atlantic City and in Vegas, to get their sense of where they're going with their lines, or is it something that everybody has their own in-house deal?
I really don't care what their opinion is. To tell you the truth, I mean, I really don't. I look at the price. If I like the price, I fire on the price. I like to know what the public's on a little bit. But they win 50% of the time. It's the VIG that eats up the public because they don't do their research. They don't study, on these games. They just wake up on Sunday or Saturday in college football and they remember what happened last, which is recency bias. And they say, okay, I'm going to bet the Eagles this week. They blew out the team last week, but they won't realize, a couple guys on the offensive line got banged up. Maybe the wide receiver's a little hurt. Maybe the quarterback twerked something. And each and every week, it's a different week in the NFL. I mean, the level of talent in the NFL, I mean, a guy runs a 4.3, another guy runs a 4.5. It's a blink of an eye. So if the guy who's running a 4.3 is a little banged up, well, now it's an even ball game. So things change so dramatically from a week-to-week standpoint that you really got to pay attention about everything that's going on in the league.
Couple over-unders for you. Darius Slay, over-under 3.5 interceptions.
Yeah, 3 last year. I say over.
You think he has a better year this year?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay, here's another one.
Well, let me put it this way. He has to have a better year.
14 million reasons, right?
He's going to have a better year because that whole middle of that defense, there's a big hole in there. And I don't think Dean's making it. I mean, I don't like what I'm seeing. They brought in a couple guys from Cleveland, but I just don't. I don't like what I'm seeing on that defensive side of the ball.
This is what I said about Nakobe Dean last night. And he had a punch-out arm tackle. And for me, he had false steps last night. He looked like a guy that hadn't played. And the second and third team, Browns offensive linemen, ran the ball right down their throat. And they had Jordan Davis and Jalen Carter in front of them. So, I mean, for anyone, the Browns had the ball 30 plays compared to 12 plays. Time of possession, it was 3-1 as well. So again, I mean, I think this is going to be a longer putt than what people are thinking. That defense is it's gonna struggle, I think, early on in the season, and that's why I look at that New England game, and I'm telling you, man, that New England game, I'm almost ready to put some money on the Patriots on there on the number because, hey, if the number keeps growing like that. And I keep looking at what I'm seeing on defense, I think that game's a fourth quarter football game as of right now because I say this, Godfather, I think the Eagles have a great offense, but I do not believe that defense is mature enough to really play in the NFL yet.
Well, as great as that Eagles offense was last year, they had issues against teams with great pass rushes. I mean, like I said before, they split with Washington. They lost to the Cowboys. The Colts, they beat the Colts by a point, and you know how bad the Colts were. So they struggled against teams that were ranked in the top 10 in sack percentage. And New England last year I think they were ranked 6th in that metric. And they got a new offensive coordinator, so you expect their offense to be better. You got a great, Bill Belichick's a great defensive mind. If they hang around going into the fourth quarter, you grab them 5 points, whatever the spread is right now, 4.5, 5. It could be a field goal game. You're in enemy territory up there in Foxborough. It's always a tough place to play.
I'm not saying that the Eagles will not win that game, but 5.5 points, I don't know, man. I mean, New England, Brady night, your defense isn't ready to rock. I mean, it seems like an inviting number to go. Hassan Reddick. Go
Yeah,
ahead.
I was going to say, if you are going to bet it, I would wait because
Yeah.
the Eagles have become such a public team that line might keep going up, 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 and you end up getting a better price. So I would wait, as long as possible. But the
Is that
Patriots.
what you do? What's the cutoff point for people who want to put money down when it comes to these games that as the lines are set for week one as it is right now, but obviously they'll go up and down due to injuries or who's going to be cut or not cut. What do you do? Do you wait to that Thursday when the injury report comes out? Is that when the cutoff time is before you put your number down? Or do
Well,
you do it earlier, like on a Monday?
you got key numbers, right? 3 and 7. The majority of football games fall in the number 3, and then the second most key number in the NFL is 7. So if you're looking to take an underdog, and the game's right around 5, 5.5, and it's a public team, and you know the public's going to back the Eagles with a bunch of money, and that line might move up to 6. Well, you got an opportunity. You can buy it to 7. You can pay that big, or you can take the +6 on that team. Yeah, injuries play a major role. I mean, it could shift the line dramatically. I mean, Jalen Hurts is out of the game. That line's going to move 7 points, and the Patriots might become the favorite in that game. So, yeah, I mean, you really got to know what's going on, when it comes to injuries. And if a team's a public team like the Eagles have become, and I would wait. I would wait to take the Patriots.
2 last questions for you here. Hassan Reddick, over under 11.5 sacks.
That's a great year, 11.5 sacks.
It is. He had 16 last year.
Yeah.
He had 19.5 with all the games.
I would say under.
Under 11.5. All right. An NFL question. Seattle or San Francisco to win the West?
Seattle's pretty good. You're getting plus money on Seattle. I hate laying the VIG. San Francisco is stacked, and they were banged up last year, but they have no quarterback. I think Geno's finally getting it. He killed us for years with the Jets. And I would take Seattle plus money to win the West.
Vikings or Detroit in the North in the NFC?
Wow, the Vikings won all those games last year. They were kind of lucky. It was a lucky season. The ball bounced their way. I think the Vikings season win total set at 8.5. Detroit's at 9.5. So the bookmakers are expecting the Lions to be better than the Vikings this year. I would say that the Lions win that division.
Now with Dalvin Cook on the Jets or Bills to win the AFC East?
New system for Rodgers. The average quarterback, it might take him 8 weeks to get acclimated to that new system. Rodgers obviously isn't the average guy. Maybe 6. I think the Jets start off slow. The first 5 games of the season, it's pretty tough. But as the year progresses, they're going to get better and better. I think the Bills squeak out the division, but the Jets got an opportunity to scare some people in the playoffs if they get there.
Do the Broncos turn it around with Russell Wilson, or do you think he's cooked?
Man, he doesn't look too good.
he doesn't.
Doesn't look too good. It's like he fell off a cliff.
Dude, I'm with you. I mean, maybe Pete Carroll. Who would have thought Pete Carroll could do what he did with Geno Smith and the coaching? Get this. So you're trying to tell me that Pete Carroll could coach Geno Smith into being an MVP candidate, and Kyle Shanahan can't coach Trey Lance into being a starter. That's remarkable what's going on out west. And then this here, watching, maybe Russell Wilson needed Carroll more than people think.
Yeah, that might be the case. Sean Payton's a great coach. I don't want to put anything by him, but Russ looks like he's cooked. He looks like he's cooked.
All right, I got to sneak these last 2 in here. Rams. What's your take on the Rams? Will the Rams bounce back? Are they a playoff team, or are they not a playoff team?
They'll be lucky to win 6 games this year.
Wow. Holy cow. So maybe they trade Aaron Donald in the midway point of the season and get him out of there so they can start rebuilding? Because they don't have any draft choices for the next couple of years.
No, they're in trouble.
All right, final question for you here. New Orleans Saints. What's your take on them? I mean, awful schedule, Carr. They look like they got talent. In your opinion, how far can that team go and how many wins can they have this year?
I think they got the easiest schedule in the NFL.
Absolutely do.
And I don't know what Derek Carr's taking, but he looks like the Incredible Hulk. I mean, he looks ready. He's on. I don't want to say nothing, but he looks. You know, the Atlanta Falcons are really good, and I bet the Atlanta Falcons will go over 8.5 wins this year. Saints might be a little bit better. It's going to be a close race. I mean, the Saints should win that division, but the Falcons are going to be on their tail, man. If they get banged up or fall off a little bit, the Falcons are going to be right there to swoop up that division.
Wow, man! Look at Philly Godfather saying that Derek. He's saying that Derek Carranabal is is on something there. Derek Carranabal.
Do they still make Anadrol 50s? I don't know.
Dude, wow, this guy's dropping Anadrol 50s on me here. Holy shit, let me say this to you.
1987, right?
Hey, let me say this to you. A little bit of Sustanone, a little bit of Equipoise, and a little bit of 50. You drop those in there, anybody can bench 550. That's all I'm saying.
I'll tell you a funny story. I was a strong kid. Not as strong as you, obviously, but I was benching 400 at Olympus Gym in Havertown, PA, and I was the weakest guy in the gym back then. Think about it.
I think so too.
Wow.
Yeah. Wow. How about this one? I used to do flat bench dumbbell presses with 275, 3 sets of 5. My wife was my spotter.
See, I'm 5'9". My arms are shorter, so the taller guys used to always be like, "You got short arms. That's why you can put up that kind of weight." But man, put up the weight that you put up, Jesus.
A Greek and an Italian. Hey, man, we're lucky to hit the 6 foot mark. We're good. Hey, Godfather, thank you so much, man. Have a fun time out there in Vegas. I appreciate you doing this, brother.
Go Cowboys.
With that, I'm going to – Tone just threw up on me. Thanks, Godfather. All right. I appreciate it there. Hey, Tony, okay? I think we better take a time out here. Hit the like. Well, maybe don't hit the like button. Keep it here on the National Football Show.